Welcome to Pause for a Second. My name is Blake.
And my name is Ryan.
And Ryan is joining me on, this time we're actually doing something a little different. We're going to talk about Sony's E3 press conference because we actually had a chance to watch it, observe it, and react to it. So you guys are going to get our initial thoughts and reactions on things that were presented today from Sony. Now, this is the only one we got a chance to actually really watch. So we didn't get a chance to interact with any other stuff, not the Microsoft or the Ubisoft one today.
First off, they opened up with, the orchestra. They had a very beautiful orchestra setting. But they opened up with God of War.
Yeah, so that's a big spoiler for you guys. So God of War trailer comes in. It's actually a playable demo. My first thought was I didn't care for the third-person perspective, kind of like what you would see in Last of Us or any of the other games that have been action genre. You know, kind of like I thought, kind of like Drake and things like that. You know, a little bit slow pace, but then again, it is a beginning like demo level.
Yeah, it can either go faster, or since it's a whole kind of a reboot, they're retooling the whole game mechanic and doing something different.
Yeah, well, since Ryan doesn't play God of War, has never played any of them, I actually noticed the difference in it. First off, Kratos has got a freaking battle axe.
And a beard.
Yeah, and a beard. And
Papa Kratos.
Yeah, he's got a kid. That was interesting.
And the demo starts off with him teaching his son his first hunts and the crazy world that they live in.
Now also the interesting thing is the setting. This is not in Greek times. This looks more like Viking times and medieval times, and I actually appreciate that.
It's
that
North
change.
region.
Yeah, it's the North region, so it's actually very nice in tone. Like I said, the thoughts on it, I want to play it. I know it's in development right now, and it won't be ready for at least a year or so.
Or a while. There's no projected release date time.
Exactly. So, but in looking at the demo and how it plays, the combat, the interactions, actually, and just watching the dialogue, it's nice to see Kratos actually having something different other than just screaming.
Yeah, he's trying to break that habit.
Yeah, it looks like he has that still pent up aggression, but because it's been so long that he kind of it looks like he's just mellowed out a little bit more and is teaching his son how to kill, how to hunt, how to do all this stuff. Things where you expected him to yell at the boy, he kind of just pulled back and didn't say anything.
So he's exercising patience, and that's a very interesting take on the character.
Yeah, so I'm liking I'm liking the whole themes of God of War, and I'm looking very forward to that. I didn't care for the end of God of War 3. And I don't want to spoil it for Ryan, but guys, you played God of War 3, you actually know what the ending is, and I didn't really care for it. So it's nice to see them actually bring the franchise into a different part. Brian, what's next to part on E3?
The next game to showcase was Days Gone.
Okay, Days Gone. Now, I got a chance to see the extended demo at the end of this. Ryan watched it before. In watching it, it's actually a very creepy little take on the zombie horror genre. It didn't really leave much to say like what it's all about. They showed a little bit of the gameplay, how it'd be like a third-person shooter. Once again, kind of mimicking Last of Us, which it's a great idea to because it's a good game, but I would just prefer a little bit more originality out of it.
Yeah, it has. It also has some elements where it's like kind of character building elements, kind of like if the Walking Dead series.
Yes.
And the fact that it takes place in very out in the forest areas of. Since in like the more forest areas, it has like
a rural area.
Rural area. Yeah. Thank you. We don't get a huge gist of how bad the world is, but they showed enough zombies to know it's.
Well, they don't look like zombies. They look like mutants.
They were also vague on what they're up against.
Yeah, so they're very vague on what the enemies are, but you gotta kind of admire the fact that I'm liking from here. I'm seeing a lot of new IPs. Sony, once again, Ryan brought out that they did have an orchestra. I did like the fact that they brought out an orchestra for some of this, But I am going to spoil. I kind of going to go a little off topic. I didn't like the fact that most of the orchestra was just used for Star Wars stuff, which is like, and that's my biggest pet peeve with the Star Wars announcement things.
Yeah. Oh, you missed the opening. They used that God of War theme you heard.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Actually, hearing that, Ryan telling me that actually gets me a little bit interested into seeing it from the beginning. So I would have loved to see the intro with the orchestra.
Yeah, because they eased into it with that opening.
Okay.
Like, it was a long. You could have heard about a good 2 or 3, actually almost 4 minutes of that theme before they finally showed the trailer. And the music they continued along with it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, Ryan, what's next up on the thing?
Next space show, The Last Guardian release date.
Yeah, woo! I've been waiting for this for a long time. I thought this was going to die. I mean, back when the Team Ico announced that they were going to do this one about a boy and a griffin, and it looked like a puzzle game, kind of like a puzzle solving through ruins and stuff like that. And everybody was like, okay, either the boy's going to die or the griffin's going to die. It's going to be a sad game.
Yeah.
It was a game I was looking forward to. I actually had pre-ordered onto the PlayStation 3 back around the early days of the PlayStation 3.
So about 2006, 2007. That's how long this game has been in model development.
Exactly. It's been in development hell for who knows how long.
I don't remember the trailer too well, but they did show some new elements. They showed multiple of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe at least one other, and they all had that headgear stuff, and they had like those glowing eyes in their helmets. So it's kind of like, I guess they were used as beasts of war kind of thing. Mostly, it was a short trailer. Just showed gameplay a little bit, so a little bit of the, little more of the story. As I didn't see it too much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the bigger one is the October 25th release date.
Yeah. Now, as much as you might be mad about this, you have to talk down so the mic can pick it up. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying, you don't project like me, and we're not down here, so it's got to pick up everything. And the last thing I want to do is mess with the audio today.
It's fun to mess with the audio.
No, it's not, because you're not editing.
Anyway.
You're not editing, so you don't know. So anyway, next up October 25th, I'm looking forward to that. I will be pre-ordering that. Ryan, what else is next on the chop block?
Next game, they showed a lengthy demo of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Was I there for that one?
Kinda. Okay, it was that one with the tribal girl, and like the robots have taken over, and they become like animals. So they're like sentient animal robots.
No, I wasn't there for that.
Okay, so yeah, so Horizon Dawn, like I just explained, it's at some point in history, the robots took over the Earth, and I guess they did something where they became robot animals, like sentient as robot animals, and they just kind of, and the world just went back to nature. And the humans kind of went to a more tribal thing, but there are some sci-fi elements. Like there's like the main character, she had like shielding systems and VR systems and a futuristic spear and all kinds of high-tech weapons and a multi-purpose spear with different elements. And
see, it sounds to me like Far Cry Primal, but if you didn't want to give up the sci-fi setting, or the modern day stuff.
So they showed the demo. She showed her taming the beast, going through a village, and then something about darkness or corruption. She claims it's just a myth that one of the villagers warned her about. But she comes across a village, and it was attacked by an ancient robot. Now all the robots look similar to animals, but they still look machine. But this one was like an actual mech, an old rusted mech, just causing terror and damage. So they'll show a lengthy boss battle of that, and end with her finally taking it down. And it just ends with the mystery of what was that thing, because it had all kinds of military corporate logos all over it, but it was very old. So
post-apocalyptic thing is what we're looking at.
But very far ahead in the future. But something old that happened back then might be coming back. But that is very beautiful, very stylized.
Okay. So what else did they show after that?
After that was an interesting one. Detroit Become Human.
Now Ryan was showing me pictures of this with actually the graphics actually look very impressive. We're not going to put anything up here because once again this is kind of a podcast, a reaction podcast. But one of the things that he showed that was very stylized. I think the guy's face was like almost looked like it was crystallized mech and like flesh.
Yes. So when the trailer started, it had a negotiator. His name is Connor.
Okay.
And the police was sending him to negotiate with the killer. The killer has this woman's daughter. But the woman was talking to the police, and when he came in, she freaked out because he's an android. And the killer is also an android. So what the game is set up to do, you're supposed to negotiate your way into the scene, but there are multiple, and I can't exaggerate, multiple outcomes of how it can go right and how it can go wrong.
So that's clever. That's kind of like what they did with LA Noire. If you didn't get the If you didn't get the right questions, I don't know why I couldn't say question. If you didn't get the right questions.
Anyway,
what's the word?
Questions.
There, that word. Thank you. Questions. If you didn't get the right things to that, I'm just gonna say things. If you didn't get the path right, you could end up losing like the whole case based on your botched investigation and based on a botched claims. So it's nice to see that they're actually taking that route of like the choose your own story route, but in multiple directions.
What I liked about this one is that it was really fleshed out.
Okay.
Like, first time they showed it, they showed him talking to the guy, the other android, holding this girl hostage. He has a gun, and there's police helicopters flying around the building, and there's police in the other room, and they're on this balcony, this huge balcony.
Yeah.
And he tries to talk them down, but he ended up just taking both their lives by just going off the building together, and with the android trying to rush to save him, but couldn't make it in time. But then they rewinded, showed him like going, investigating the place, getting a little backstory, having insight, choosing to take a weapon, choosing to not to take a weapon, and then show him negotiate again, kind of like almost like a rewind, where he either lies to the other android, or convince him, or try to shoot him, and it can go right and go wrong. It showed many times where he saves the girl by rushing him, gets shot instead, or successfully knock him off, or knock both of them off and save the girl, or have the robots or the android just like lose his weapon or drop his weapon, but the police shot him down.
Oh, okay.
That's what that picture I showed you, where he was like shot and he was like, "Why did you lie to me?" and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so that makes for an interesting dynamic for a game. But also, once again, that is also, as they said at the end of the press conference, in development, will not be out for at least another year or so. We'll see what they do with that. I like the dynamic that Ryan said, but once again, things could change within a year. We've seen it happen before with games that look very impressive coming out at E3 and just kind of losing that luster as it goes along, you know?
Yeah, the other games like did that before, but never...
I mean, come on, Division was one of those games that looked good at E3.
Yeah, Division, and like I said, LA Noire. Some people say it wasn't as multi-linear as
it was in the E3 demo.
Yeah, and another game, Lost Souls, I think was like that.
Yeah, Lost Souls was exactly like that,
and ended up being extremely linear. So I hope this. I'm not saying it will, but I'm hoping this will be the one that finally does it.
We'll see. Well, we'll see. Well, who is publishing it?
I did not see. I forgot.
Okay, so it's obviously on a Sony platform, though.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be Sony, of course.
Well, as long as it remains that way. Okay, so after that, what else did they do?
Then they start the VR section. But first...
Yeah, we got to... okay. Go ahead, go to the but first, because the VR section is the one I came in for.
Okay. Before you came in, the first VR section they showed kind of like this horror element. Kind of like PT. And it's like, I barely saw much of that. But basically, it's like... Yeah, it's very atmospheric. It was very tense. There's one of my phones telling that if you don't get out quickly, they'll hunt you down. And he's seeing things like these figures like moving across this old rickety house. And then finally, finally it ends the trailer with a Roman numeral 7. And then it became Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Biohazard.
And then when Ryan said that, well, first Ryan came in and said Resident Evil 7. I'm like, call me when they actually make a horror thing. And then Ryan described to me what's going on. I'm like, that sounds like a horror game. That sounds like fun. I want to see something like that. And when Ryan showed me a little bit of that and told me a little bit about that, I'm very interested to see where they take it. If Resident Evil has to be a VR game, then so be it. anything to make the horror genre something special. So now we're in the VR section. Now I want to bring up the price of the VR.
Okay, first off, the VR, October 13th for
2016 for PlayStation. Please do not pick it up on the old PlayStation. It will not work. They also announced the Neo coming out, redesigned too. It was at the end.
I didn't see that.
Oh, so when they showed all the stuff, like, you know, like they showed the montage. So guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit just to get to this part. When they showed the montage of the Neo, they actually showed it a lot more square, and it looked smaller. It looked like the old PlayStation too. It was very interesting. Ryan's looking it up right now. But the VR is coming out, what, October 13th?
Yes.
October 13th, 2016 is when we get the PlayStation VR at $399. However, and I'm going to say however, that is still too pricey for me to get into the VR, to jump on the VR bandwagon right now. I do not see myself doing that, just for that specific reason of the expense. Look, I have to buy another system, which I am going to buy, and I've made it very clear on this channel that I think it's killing console gaming as it stands now. It's killing console gaming because that means we upgrade all the time. But then again, somebody gave me the argument that we're always upgrading our systems every so often because they become smaller, faster, and what's the point of getting upset over a new system when you know it's just going to be built a little bit faster? So,
VR.
Exactly, and I have to concede that point to them.
Because we'll talk about Neo all day.
Exactly, we'll talk about Neo all day. But so I'm conceding the point. I'm conceding to that point that, you know, it's one of those things I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and buy a brand new system because it's going to be a terabyte, because games are getting bigger. Everybody's going, you know, digital. And plus with the VR system, the impressive lineup that they came up with was great. So Ryan, what was the first lineup that they showed right after Resident Evil?
Star Wars Battlefront VR X-Wing mission.
Actually, that wasn't the first one, but we'll talk about that.
Okay. Sorry, that was the first of my notes.
Oh, yeah.
First one was Farpoint.
Okay, no. Well, we're going to jump around. Why not? So we're not even going to talk about X-Wing because
it's everything wrong.
It's four kinds of wrong from West Side Story. I don't care. It's all kinds of wrong. I should have the space battle in my Battlefront, and it should already be a VR function without a VR, or it just adds to the experience if it is a VR. But the fact that it's a whole separate thing makes it just completely angry-inducing. So the first one was what?
Farpoint.
Farpoint. Now that started off very interesting. How did it start off again? I forgot.
I kind of forgot too. It was more like
it was like a spaceship landing. Yeah,
first person like space exploration. You're on the desert planets.
Deserted.
Sorry.
There we go. It's not Tatooine, but that's okay. Or Jakku.
Yeah, it was more like a Mars planet. Anyway, it was just like you hear like a lot of monologue. I was kind of tuning in and out at that point.
Yeah.
But they open up with that one. It looks very interesting, very moody, very atmospheric, and a lot of intrigue and mystery to it.
Yeah, and one thing I was telling Ryan, if they go the route of a survivor game, not a horror, but a survivor where you are by yourself and you have to get off the planet by yourself, I told Ryan that could be a very nice experience to have, you know, going forward. So, you know, that's a good lineup. Now, once again, the Sony heads came out and said, and we want to show our lineup, so they came out with Farpoint. They came out with Resident Evil 7. They announced Star Wars, X-Wing, and then what was the next thing that they put up?
Batman VR.
Now that was interesting. First off, it starts off with Mark Hamill doing a very creepy narration, almost like he's doing a Killing Joke narration, talking about like being in the mask, like, you know, just almost like as if he's talking to you about being Batman, you know.
My thing is that they didn't show much of that.
I think it's good for a teaser.
Yeah, it's just a teaser.
It was better. It was a better teaser than Injustice 2.
Let's keep focused here.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's a better teaser. See, but anyway, that looks interesting. It's Arkham. It's Batman Arkham VR. Now, I am very interested to see what they're going to do with this. It looks like they're bringing in Mark Hamill back in as the Joker. It could be. It also could be a wash. It could just be Batman Arkham, the first game in first-person mode, which I don't want to even play. But I would rather it be its own standalone title, a game that would be developed from the ground up to be a different part of the Arkham series. Exactly. But other than that, that got me hyped up. I want to put the trailer up and just look at it again because it was really that cool and atmospheric. So, kudos to them for putting that up and getting me excited about at least one VR game out of this.
Right.
Well, I had a few I was excited about, but I got excited about that. Really did. What's next?
Next was Final Fantasy VR.
Now that to me, I have some thoughts on this. Ryan, go ahead. You start us off.
Why?
Yeah, that was my thought too.
I mean, it's a nice touch, but why?
I don't know. I mean, there's no point other than milking the franchise for a game we're already looking forward to. I mean, the 15 demo, you guys seen us play it. If you haven't, go to it. It's on our old demo mode stuff. It was good. I liked it. They improved the combat system. My thing is with the VR system, it seems like it's just going to be a gimmick for it. And that game does not need a gimmick.
It doesn't.
It's really good as itself. There is some funniness to the characters wearing the VR headset.
Actually, yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yes. I would have preferred that more as a promotion than an actual thing.
Yeah. And then they show a few more. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, no, we're just highlighting some stuff.
But someone pointed out that VR, that they weren't fledged out games. They were more like missions and experiences.
Yeah.
That's what keywords keep throwing around.
Mm-hmm.
That has me a little bit worried.
Yeah.
That we're just going to get like mini games with these. Literally mini games with these big budget games. The only one who's doing it in detail or in depth is Bethesda. They said they want to put Fallout and Skyrim into the VR games as part of the main full game.
But see, you can do that with those games because they're from a first person's perspective, and something like that I wouldn't play on a VR. I would play on an HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift, just because those are, even though those are more expensive, they're actually better designed for VR experiences, and I would rather do something like that. But once again, not everybody has the budget. But when you count in that you have to buy a $400 system plus another $400 headset, you are adding. That's basically $800.
That's before you buy games or PlayStation Plus.
Exactly. So that's $800 plus for a supercomputer. If you want to go out and get yourself a gaming PC, I mean, you could get yourself a gaming Mac for not Mac, but a PC that would run like what 16. It had at least 16 megabytes of, or no, 16 gigabytes, not megabytes. Who would use that?
No, actually,
it's 1998.
Well, yeah,
it would have like 16 gigabytes of space that would just run the games, and it would have the top of the line graphics card and everything like that. And you can run it on a super like laptop or PC for about $300 more, and have an HTC Vive that would actually be a lot better too.
Right.
But then again, it's also expensive. So once again, the Vive was like $700 plus that $800 Mac. So it's not Mac, but a PC, and I can kind of see where PlayStation is going. Like, what's your options? If you pay $800 for this versus $1,500 to almost like $2,000 for everything else in the setup. So, PlayStation's going to make the push for VR, and they have a good lineup. I guess that's what I'm getting to.
Right. Now, the final VR in the segments that kind of got on my nerves, it was Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. When they start this off, it was very misleading because it looked like a brand new sci-fi game.
Yeah. Well, first off, tell them how it started off. It looked really cool.
It looked cool. You were in like a spaceship hangar, and you're just getting just mission briefs. You're walking around the hangar. You're about to climb into your ship into battle. You take off, and then halfway into the battle,
you have this Ace Combat style like sci-fi like space battle. Looks so cool. They're dipping and diving. Everybody's shooting everything. It looks so epic, And I mean Ace Combat. I mean it's like fast paced and quick.
Yeah, I was looking at the ships and I was looking at the design of them, and I seen what they were fighting. And I'm looking at how come I don't recognize these ships? And I thought to myself, wait a minute, if that's Earth and space, that can't be Infinite Warfare because they haven't showed the title at this point. They were just showing this started off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they exit the cockpit to board the ship, as soon as the guy brought like his gun out and started ziplining onto the enemy carrier, that's when I knew we've been duped into a Call of Duty trailer.
And honestly, I thought for sure it wasn't a Call of Duty. I'm like, no, somebody's just probably, Ryan's probably just overreacting. And it wasn't until I saw the robots, because I seen the robots on the trailer, I went, it's Call of Duty. And
sure enough, it was a Call of Duty trailer.
And let me just tell you guys something. Hey, Activision, let me just tell you something right now. I hate your games. I don't want to play Infinite Warfare, okay? I don't want to go into space. And I can honestly tell you, yeah, that space battle looked cool, but it looked like a cutscene, which means I will not be flying anything, which means I have no interest in your game, okay? No interest whatsoever. And you guys can get mad and call me any names or anything you want, but you know what? I'm sick of Call of Duty. Sick. And Richard Review Tech brought up a great point on Twitter. He said if they opened up with this trailer, this probably would have got less hate. But unfortunately, it didn't. So we've already seen what the game is capable of. Now it's just like, oh, no, you don't get to make up for lost time. I don't like it. I thought for sure it was a new IP. If this was done by Activision and they said, yeah, we're going to it's going to be Call of Duty, but this is Call of Duty Space Battle, I could honestly tell you, Ryan, I would have been more excited for that.
Right.
If it was like, okay, this is part of the Call of Duty franchise, but it is Call of Duty, Space Battle VR, which is a campaign that's separate from the regular game. I would have been cool with that, but no. They're trying to promote it along with everything else, and then they threw out Call of Duty 4 Remastered just for shits and giggles.
All right. Moving on from VR.
Yeah, moving on.
We get to Sony finally did it. They are finally making Crash Bandicoot. They are remastering the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. 1, 2, and 3 will get a reimagining of the game.
But hold up, let's show you some footage of Skylanders Crash Bandicoot style.
Yeah, that was kind of lame to put on for one.
It was lame. I mean, honestly, okay, look, that's fine if you want to get us hyped up. But it would have been better if you opened up saying that we're going to have Skylanders and then you had the character creation, which was interesting. You can draw your own characters and scan them in.
Yeah.
You can create your own characters and scan them in. So it's the Skylanders Imagineers or Imagination? I forget what it was called.
Something like that.
It was something along the lines. It was like Imagine Something.
But if they just transitioned into that...
And then had Crash Bandicoot at the end and said, hey, guess what? Crash is back on PlayStation 4. That would have been so cool.
I think they were wanting to set it up in, but I think the guy caved into the cheers of the crowd for at some point he just broke down and said, yeah, we're making Crash.
Yeah. And you know what?
No segue, just...
Yeah, no segue. Crash. Yeah, and there was no segue to that, and Ryan was like, did we get hit by a nitro crate or something?
Yeah.
because it was just so instantaneous. It's like, okay, cool. Let's see a little bit. Like, do you guys have footage? Like, let's just see it. What are you guys completely redoing the engine? Is it just going to be the first 2 games, just digitally shaded better, or are you just going to do a complete graphic overhaul like they do with a Crysis engine and just put it out there with the same levels?
They said I saw the word reimagining, and now that I saw it, I'm concerned.
I know we might just get twin sanity out of it, but it did say that they were just going to remaster. It didn't say reimagining; it's just remastered, is what they said.
Yeah,
They said remastered. They said remastered. Don't freak out. I honestly think it's just going to be the collection put together.
As of this day, and as the E3 conference, they showed nothing of that.
Yeah, they didn't show anything. So, but the guy did come out with a Crash Bandicoot shadow in the background, and you heard the music, and you heard the music before they showed the crowd first, then you heard the music.
Yeah.
And then it was like...
the shadow of Crash on the presenter.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, but that's what got me excited, so...
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. So next up on the list.
Next was Lego Star Wars.
Pass.
Yeah, it's out now, and the physical copy is out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, moving on. I mean, that's enough of Star Wars. Look, I love Star Wars, but... I don't want to see anything on Star Wars right now.
Well, you gotta promote the new game, especially if you have something with close release date. I mean, was already a crime that EA didn't promote Mirror's Edge, even though it just came out like a week or two ago.
Mirror's Edge should have been promoted. Anyway, It doesn't matter. Next on the list.
Next came on stage was Kojima.
Oh, hail Kojima!
Oh, Kojima.
Kojima came out. I mean, first off, they said, we'd like to announce a special guest. And we're like, okay, well, who are they announcing? And then me and Ryan went, I heard the music. First, I heard the music. That sounded very Kojima-esque.
I saw the silhouette of his new logo.
Yeah, Ryan saw the new logo that he had. And we just both went, no. And then he came out and he's like, in as good as English as I've ever heard him speak, saying that they had a new game to present for you.
He tried.
And then out came this most craziest trailer I've ever seen.
It was crazy. Trippy, too.
And what I mean, like, okay, what was the title of it?
Death Stranding.
Okay, guys, go out and watch that trailer and see what we mean. Okay, so you got Daryl Dixon over there holding a cyber baby. That's all you need to know. You got Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead holding a baby with a cyber umbilical cord next to him. He's also handcuffed, naked on the beach, handprints everywhere, handprints on him, and these crazy entities out into the ocean. You think I'm telling you a fever dream? Go out and watch it.
Pretty much is a fever dream. What do you think it is? Do you think it's Silent Hills? Do you think it's Silent Hills?
I honestly thought it was Silent Hills because it was the same actor that they used before.
Yeah.
He is back working with Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
But because Konami owns the rights to Silent Hills
and PT,
that they couldn't use any of that. But they still had the actor, they still had his footage, they still had his voice, they still had everything else. They still had Guillermo del Toro. And Kojima wanted to make a game, and Sony picked him up. And I think you remember about 7 months back, Sony picked his studios up.
Yeah.
As to be a developer under their publisher.
Exactly.
And so I honestly think what we're about to get, I think Kojima honestly gave us a brand new IP that looks like it's going to be horrifying and mind-blowingly crazy just to play. And that is something I want to play.
And appealing to look at.
It does. And Kojima's always had that great art style. Even with all the Metal Gear games, even with all their limitations, they have always been both psychologically fascinating and just artistically well done. Everything from Metal Gear 3 with its stylized James Bond style, to Metal Gear 2 with its sci-fi, to the whole, theme on war and age and passing down traits with Metal Gear Solid 4. Kojima's always had those games that have always just had this depth to them. So with this trailer, it was just it just blew me away how freaking crazy it was. And yeah, you can call me a Kojima fanboy, because I am. I'm just very interested to see what he is up to with this new game. And especially how beautiful it looks too. If this looks half as good as what the CG trailers are showing, we're in for a real good treat. Real good treat. All right. So what was next up on the block after All Praise God came up?
Well,
somebody said on Twitter, what, God?
Yeah, it's God. The last game they showed, and it came out of nowhere. It was Spider-Man.
Yeah, and don't tell them by who.
By Insomniac Games, of all people.
Are you kidding? It's like Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be done by Insomniac Games?
Now, they didn't say Homecoming. They said Spider-Man.
But it has a Homecoming, outfit, dude.
Yeah, it's a new Spider-Man costume. Very nice. The trailer showcased what they were wanting to do. And Insomniac Games have said that that's game footage. So all that craziness.
It looked great, dude. It looked better than any other Spider-Man game that has recently come out. And I have not played a Spider-Man game since Spider-Man Ultimate, dude.
Ultimate Spider-Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
But this looks like a good one to go back into.
Exactly.
It's good.
Yeah.
And not rushed.
Yeah.
The last several ones have been rushed.
Yeah. No, Ryan's showing me a screenshot right now. Right now, it looks like it's not being rushed. It looks like they're finally taking some time on Spider-Man, which is what they should do. Activision should treat this character with a lot of respect because, it's one of their money makers, man. And then everybody loves Spider-Man games, dude. They're really good. Even the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the only missions that were really good were kind of the missions that were based off of Arkham, or Batman Arkham, where you had to sneak around, take out guards, and all the side missions were really good, better. They were more interesting than they were the main missions. So I'm just hoping that with this new one, that they actually take their time, make it fun, make it a good game. It's Insomniac, so it's gonna be well done. It is going to be well done, so yeah, I'm looking very forward to that. Anything else on your notes?
That was it.
And then they closed with the montage.
Yeah, they closed with the montage.
And the orchestra played on. So I guess we could do what Pro Jared does, like when he gives a grade. This will be the first time we actually do give a grade because me and Ryan really don't react that much to E3 stuff.
We'll just say closing thoughts. I don't think we do grade.
I want to give a grade, okay. like what I felt for not in like an A, B, usually he gives A, B, C.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd rather just give like you said, closing thoughts and what I think.
Okay.
You want to go first? I'll go last.
Very good E3. I mean, they did what an E3 should have. It should have something, open up with something unexpected and new. And a few surprises along the way. There were a couple of games that were not feeling. VR, they're really pushing for. And I just don't feel VR. But with...
Well, of course you can't. It's VR. It's not real.
Anyway. I noticed that with a lot of games, there's not much release dates. At least not for this year. Most of them are release dates for next year or beyond. So most of these games still got ways to go. No Square Enix games today, or not much of it.
Oh, I mean, they sucked last year, so it's best that they stay out of it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that there's no update on FF7 or 15 on their end. Xbox did that, but there was no Kingdom Hearts update either.
I bet you $5 they'll do it tomorrow.
Probably. We'll see what happens. But as of this thing, I got pretty good positive vibes from it. It's very nice. It was very nice.
Okay, cool. My closing thoughts. I am very excited for what Sony has done. It is a very good direction that they are going. I fear for Nintendo because this is going to be a hard act to follow.
It's always a hard act to follow.
It's a hard act to follow. This is actually probably the best I've seen Sony actually... Sony is focused, and it's nice to see it. They're focused on their VR, they're focused on their games, and they're focused on pushing their system and pushing brand new IPs, which I like. I like the fact that I saw new IPs. I like the fact that I saw IPs that were dead, that I thought were dead, come back to life. Like I told you guys in the beginning, the God of War trailer, gameplay, just got me hyped up for it. There is a very nice atmosphere to it. The Last Guardian looked very interesting. Even when they closed out with Days Gone, I wasn't excited. But at the same time, I like the direction that they're going with this. It gave it some mystery. It showed the gameplay. It showed the fact that there's going to be swarms. There were swarms of enemies. I've never seen that many enemies on the screen before. I mean, it was like basically the Lion King wildebeest scene. It was so much crap there. It was like too much. And it just gives you a real feeling of dread and being overwhelmed. So, I mean, honestly... I like the direction that they're going. I like what Sony has done. I think they have done the best job at this E3. I don't see any faults other than probably the Call of Duty one. I didn't see anything that made me go, ugh, really? It kind of just went, wow, that's cool. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. I'm excited for that. It was one of those things where I actually was getting... it was one of those things where I really wanted to go to an E3 just to experience that press conference, because that's how I used to feel about those press conferences. I wanted to go because of the excitement, the things that they're showing. And here, they did that very well. I love the fact that they have just came out, and honestly, I could say that they won E3, but I have to wait till tomorrow when Nintendo goes up and either bombs or drops a bomb. One of those two. It's got to be one of those two. It's going to be one of those two. But I honestly say that they have the best the best recommendation I have from me of just being excited. Guys, I was very excited about the E3 today.
Yeah, regardless with Nintendo, it's still like they did a lot better than other companies who had plenty of it in their own screen time.
Well, we'll talk. We can't talk about those companies here.
Yeah.
This is just basically on Sony, and based on what I've seen, it's going to be a tough act to follow. They put a live orchestra. All the heads of Sony looked very excited. The developers look excited. They had a lot of good hype for their games, and that's what you need. You need people not just being stiff up there. This is a freaking investors meeting. Get up there and show us something, okay? And that's what they did. They got up there, they showed us something, and I'm excited. That's all I'm going to say. So, guys, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a little bit shorter. We're supposed to cut this down. Don't worry. We will cut this down. There's some things we got to edit in the very beginning, and I'm editing this. But, guys, once again, thank you for tuning in and viewing our thoughts and reactions. Ryan, anything you want to say?
It took long enough.
for Sony?
For Sony, it took long enough.
Yeah.
Because a few years of having the system, and they finally have like an E3 that's impressive. I mean, they had some good stuff before, but it's like a little good, a little bad. This one was a very positive E3.
This one was
everything you want.
Exactly. This is very good across the board. Even though I'm not in the VR, the fact that they put a price tag out, the fact they showed what the new like Neo was going to look like, the fact that they have put everything together very nicely, looks good.
It had everything you wanted. It had some surprises. Had the release dates of game you wanted to know. They talked about their VR that they're really pushing heavily on, and they even surprised us even more at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, this gets a good rating from us. We're both very excited for Sony. I'm looking very forward to seeing how this, and I'm probably just going to call it, Sony has won E3.